WFC. Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC, Friday Night Fans Forum. We've been doing this for over a year now. It's great to get as many guests on as possible, just to chat about anything that I want to chat about. We do like to open the show with a few quotes from any interviews, any press conferences. So because it's game weekend, we've got quite a bit from Skinner, Emma Sanders, Jamie, as if they're all, as always, coming out with a good today. So that's really got us talking. Jamie Spencer got us talking last night and this morning as well. That's the title on the thumbnail about has our season been a failure if we get fourth. I don't believe that, but I might be in the minority. So I think, it's good to kind of debate that. I know that's been spoken about on Twitter today as well. And of course, we've got other topics to get involved with as well. So plenty to look out for. Let's go around asking how everybody is. Marty, how you doing, mate?
We're doing good. It's very nice here.
Good. I always love your background as well, Marty.
Well, it makes me happy, and that way you don't see what kind of housekeeper I am.
That'd be good. I like that. That's good. Barry, welcome back, mate. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm very good. If you see my head nipping out of shot at any point, it's because I'm just trying to finish off my dinner. Been a very busy day, so I'm nipping out there, just refueling, ready for the arguments.
Who was that I saw? Was it Laura Woods that went viral about a couple of weeks ago? She had a camera on her and she snuck down and basically I think she was like blowing her nose or something, or she was sneezing or something, and it looked like that she was doing something that she shouldn't have been doing. And
that's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you now. But it is, it's just an onion ring. That's all it is. It won't, it's going in there, okay? Just so we know. There we go.
Ellie, welcome to the show, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on again.
Awesome. No problem at all, mate. No problem. And John, one of two shows that we'll be doing together tonight. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, John. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to the show.
Excellent. Yeah, I don't know if my Wi-Fi is going or somebody else's, but if I slow up, just bear with me. I'm sure it'll work eventually. Before we get into the quotes, then let's go on the subject on the thumbnail. I think it's a good one. I think it's an important one. It's not one that I always like to bring to the table because it could get a bit negative, and I can understand it. But I think it's an important subject when the fan base is talking about it. I think we need to bring it in. So for a change, I'll start off with John. Then we'll go anti-clockwise, shall we? What are your thoughts? If we get fourth, would it be a failure this season? I would turn around and say I don't think fourth is a failure. I think there's been certain points of the season that would be a failure, i.e. the amount of draws that we've had. I think the draw against Aston Villa would be a failure. I think the fact that we let the lead slip against West Ham is a failure. But I think as a season, I think top, fourth isn't necessarily a failure. But like I say, I'm expected to be in the minority, as I often am on this channel. But John, what are your thoughts, mate?
Depends what way you look at it, really. I don't think at the start of the season, or me personally, I didn't expect us to get in the top three at the start of this season. Obviously, we didn't. The last season didn't end particularly well, and similar to this season, where we were in the top three for a long time and then lost it towards the end, which was unfortunate. I personally think that. But having said that, though, it's been well documented that this season in a number of games, the amount of games we've either late goals have cost us points, and failing to beat teams which you ought to be beating, particularly away from home and that kind of thing. I think it's disappointing. I've still got one more game to go, but to get the odds if we were to do it. And I think the fourth bet's team in the league is where we are at this present moment. I think, unfortunately, City, Chelsea, and Arsenal are better than us at the moment. It doesn't mean to say that we can't reach those levels. A good transfer window, and maybe we will eventually, get into that top three. It does require investment and that kind of thing. But yeah, like I say, I wouldn't say it's a failure. I think fourth place is where we're at. It's just disappointing that we were in the top three for so long and we lost it towards the end. But his first season with the new manager, I think there's more pressure on him next season, certainly to deliver. But yeah, it's disappointing. I wouldn't say it's a complete failure.
Yeah, I think Lanzo kind of sums up a little bit. I'm very similar to that one. I think we could have held third at the start of the season. Fourth was the best for us due to our summer. I think that's why, because I'm thinking to myself, well, because the summer we had, I don't think we were set up at the start of the season to finish third. But again, I'm sure other people will may think differently. Ellie, let's bring you in on this one then. What are your thoughts on this season? If we miss out on the final game of the season, would you consider the season to be a failure?
No, but it will hurt. It will hurt.
Yeah.
It will hurt us all, I think. It will, really will. Because we really played well this season, I thought. We have, but these lousy draws and then our players being injured. I know it's not an excuse, but we've missed out on two of our defenders. Millie had an injury, came back. She had another injury, and then Mannion's done an ACL again. So we've missed out on them two massively. And then obviously Diane came in. She even got injured. So then one of them had to go back in defence. And I think it was Katie's at one point. And then Honor, I think. So, it's not a failure, I don't think. It's something we can be proud of, I think, for going into next season. Knowing that next season, potentially, we can go more up in the table. Like John said, I think it's them three teams. They're ahead of us at the minute with the players. They've got more experience, I think. Our squad's only learning season by season, and they're only such a young squad. I've been told that, we haven't won any trophies yet. No, we've not, but we can succeed to win them next season. That's what I reckon. Next season will be our season. Mm-hmm. It's just all these transfers that now need to go in this summer. We need to bring players in who can actually help us, really help us to push to the potential that we want. So no, I really don't think it's failure, because just look how far we've come. We literally only reformed in 2018. Look at us now. Mm-hmm. We're growing each day, I think. So I think next season we will win more trophies. We really will. If we get some new players in, and Skinner gets, and I can say Skinner's done a good job this season, because I've heard it was his first full season or something. Yeah. He really has done well, I think. He has done well, so hopefully it can improve next season.
Yeah, that's really positive way of looking at it. I'm very similar as well. Sangon Squee, I think you raised a good point here. But as a season result, it must be considered a failure, not the growth of the players, but the result of the season. So sometimes you have to look at it and think, well, the players and the manager probably have got to their limits. As a squad, I think we probably are fourth, but maybe the club. Originally, we had that 5-year plan when we first started. I'm sure we should be further along, maybe as a club. Potentially, we could be. I wouldn't mind arguing that. After 5 years, maybe, we should be. We was aiming for titles or whatever. I don't think we're on that path anymore. But I think that's more down to the club and how we kind of ended last summer, being broken up and having to. We're almost kind of wasting the season in one sense. With Keita leaving and kind of starting again. So I could always understand, the club should be higher. I think after 4 seasons, you can argue that, if we did have that 5-year plan and it was robust and everything was going to plan, we should be pushing for maybe one level higher now. I do get that, but I think if you just judge this season with what we've got and what we've been up against, I wouldn't say it's a failure.
But can I just
yeah,
say, so how many times have we played City this season? We've played them like 4 or 5 times.
Quite a few, isn't it? Yeah.
4 times, yeah.
Yeah.
4 times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, played them 4 times, so we're only growing. We're only growing. That's what I keep saying.
I really, you don't need to win me over. You don't need to win me over. I'm positive like yourself. Barry, you was on the show yesterday when this debate kind of started. Do you want to just, now you've had 24 hours to think about it?
Yeah, now that I've had 24 hours to think about it, we're pleased to know that I'm even more sure I was right than I was 24 hours ago. So nothing's changed in that respect. If anything, I've come in with the armour and I'm ready to wallop anyone who disagrees with me today. Because my first question is failure. Failure according to who? Who decides whether it's a failure or not? Right at the very beginning of the season, did anyone say we were finishing? Did anyone say, oh, we're going to be the champions? No, they didn't, because we're not stupid. Nobody was thinking we were going to do that. Did anybody say we were definitely going to get Champions League qualification? No, nobody did that. I don't recall seeing it anyway. I think people thought we would challenge for it, and that's what we've done. That's exactly what we've done. Do you know how many points we finished on last season? I help you, 47. It's 3 points more than we're currently on now. If we beat Chelsea, we've ended up doing exactly what we did before. We're in this situation really because City have basically swapped places with Arsenal. And Arsenal decided to do well this year, and City obviously had the injuries. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing I'd say is a failure, again, according to what measures. A failure to achieve doesn't equal a failure to compete. And that's the difference. When you compete, the minute you go out there on that pitch, you've got no guarantees you're going to win. You could win, you could lose, you could draw. Those are your 3 options. That's what's going to happen. And as long as you're competing in it and you're fighting hard, I mean, how many times have we said that? Again, looking at the men's team. What's the problem with the men's team? Nobody seems to put any effort into it. They're just running around, not even running around. They're just walking about. So people get annoyed because they're not seeing the attitude. The attitude of the women, we've never had that. We've never come off of the pitch and gone, do you know what? They just didn't try. It's never happened. The attitude is spot on. So therefore, they are competing, and they're competing at a very high level. And we're only 4. Remember this. We are only toddlers. So why do people think it's a failure? Well, I've had a little think about it. And I thought that maybe my Godfather one was quite good yesterday. But I've got another one, so it's all good. Basically, what I'm thinking is, if you ever watch The American Office, there's a lovely scene in that where Steve Carell does a Secret Santa. And on that Secret Santa, everyone else has spent like $20, and he buys a great big whacking $400 iPhone. And what he gets in return is like a hand-knitted oven mitt. He's like, what the hell is this? This is ridiculous. So he gets upset and he thinks, well, actually, we're going to try and play a game now so that everybody else gets it. And what he basically says is, you can now decide to steal somebody else's present. And this goes around with people not ending up with the stuff that they were meant to have. And everyone who had the iPhone or the iPod was really upset. Why? Because that's a $400 thing, and there's a $20 thing in their hand that somebody's put together. It's not a failure. It feels like a failure because it was in your hands and you had it, and then it might be taken away from you. And sometimes you do just have to say, do you know what, City? They've done really well. 15 games on the trot they've won. Not necessarily just in the WSL, but they've turned up. They've done what they need to do, and they've shown why it is that they finished second last year, and why they probably would have been challenging for the title this year had they not had the injuries they had before. So we know we've got to improve, which is why I don't think it's a failure. We've done exactly what we've done for the last 2 years. We've always been the $20 Secret Santa, and we're not going to be hitting that $400 iPhone until we start investing in it, getting some more players that we know are going to have that experience and that ability. We build up that experience from within by them actually taking part in it now. And that, Jonathan, is why it will not be a failure if we finish third. Defence rests, time for a chicken nugget.
If you're watching this and you like Barry's analogies, just put the thumbs up because I thought that was very well thought out. Marty, let's bring it to you then. Have you got a different way of looking at it?
I think the headline, it's exactly what it is. It's a headline. It's not really relevant in terms of what the reality is. I agree with Barry. in that if City didn't have the devastating injuries they had, would we have even had a whiff of third place at the potential of being able to claim it at the end of the season? City plays the way they're supposed to play. For gosh sakes, it's your England national team. If they aren't playing that way, you should get different players for your national team. But I see this season as a huge missed opportunity for Man United. We had the players. I think it's a combination of Mark coming in and not necessarily having a goal in mind. I think he felt it was going to be like a honeymoon, period for him, in that everybody was going to be laying back and he could do what he wanted to do. And if he wanted to go reinvent the wheel, he could do it. And then he got the sense of, hey, wait a minute, that's not really going to work because, the player quality that I got isn't really, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I have great players. I just have to adapt. And while he was going through all these machinations in his head and on the pitch, we ended up losing 12 points. Okay. Now, granted, some of those points we definitely should have lost, but I'd say there's at least 3 matches that I feel we should have taken all 3 points in those matches. We should not have, lost to a draw. Okay. I think that if City didn't have all the devastating injuries, we wouldn't have been in third place for most of the season, okay, or for as long as we had. We still do have an opportunity on Sunday, but City has to lose that game, and we have to win our game. I think the word failure is a poor representation of what we're looking at. As a professional team, you're supposed to improve over the course of your season, and you're supposed to attain the goal. The goal was our goal, getting into the Champions League. Realistically, I don't think that was our goal. I think we had the opportunity to achieve that, and that would have been grabbing a gold ring and being possibly an overachiever in a way, because circumstances fell to our feet. They sort of like laid out for us, and we just didn't take advantage of it. We had some mishaps, and we did not take advantage of it, which, for those points, that's irritating to me as a fan, because I see so much more potential for this team. I disagree with the fact that, we're so young, so it doesn't really matter, and it's going to come and you have to wait your turn. I think that's utter bull crap. Okay. Maybe it's because I'm an American and the United States is fairly young. I mean, we're basically a baby compared to every other country around the world. Okay. And I look at our exhibition, not exhibition, but our expansion teams coming into NWSL and kicking butt. Both of them won, and one of them won against the Thorns. The LA team won against the Thorns, which the Thorns are basically your Chelsea, Arsenal, City teams, status in our league. I don't think that has to do with anything. I think when you start thinking like that, you're setting yourself up to fail. I do think that our expectations need to change. We need to not say, how do we beat Chelsea? We need to say, why not do we beat Chelsea? And why should we lose this game, as opposed to how can we win this game? Okay. I think that attitude has to change, and our players need to have it. But more importantly, the administration needs to have it. The club needs to have it. I mean, we have quality players up and down. Do we have depth like Chelsea and Arsenal and City? No, we don't have depth. Okay. We will get depth. Okay. But we don't have it. But we do have the quality players that can match up player for player. Do we have specifically a Myanmar or Kerr? No, but we got Tooney and we got Russo and we got Galton. So what the hell's wrong with that? It's just, we need to thank you, Barry. We just need we just need to have gumption and have chutzpah. That's what we need. We need to have attitude. And I have played against many players that should have kicked my butt and didn't, just because I had a better, like, fiercer attitude than they did on that day. You know, it's just, that's just the way. It's like, if you get into a mindset of I'm just not gonna freaking lose, you end up winning.
I
So
think
that's my thing. So I don't think we failed. I do think we missed opportunity stuff.
I think I'm happy to kind of like finish this segment on that kind of phrase, because I agree with that. It was definitely a missed opportunity. I can see people in the comments talk, and yourselves mention about if City didn't have injuries, we'd have been further behind. Absolutely, I think that's okay. I think we was kind of expected to be further behind this season. Barry, you mentioned on yesterday's show that with City having injuries, it's kind of like we were plastering over the cracks a little bit, potentially, you know, overachieving, being so close at this end of the season. And I can kind of tie all this in. I really can. So I think, you know, a lot of us are thinking quite similar in what we're saying here. I want to move it on because we're 20 minutes in already. There's a lot to get through today. So I was going to read out a few quotes that's come out today from Asif, Emma, and Jamie, obviously from Mark Skinner. So I'm going to start off with something that Asif mentioned. And if I just read through a few quotes, there's so many. I've got a book of them. So I've actually written them all down today. So there's so many. And then maybe we can just discuss them afterwards as well. So one was about no rush bringing players in. So long as we get the right players, that's the main thing, with different tools to unlock different defences or different teams. I think that's a typical Skinner thing to say, if I'm honest. He's been on about this kind of thing all season. Now, I don't know if that means that we're going to go for maybe less well-known players and more to do with players that can do a certain job, as opposed to like a Galactico kind of signing, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's about like thinking of the team, thinking about what positions do we need. So I'm leaning towards that kind of signing for that. Emma Sanders, when she asked Skinner on Senior Brun about her potential permanent deal, he replied, obviously, we're having conversations. They will continue to go on. She hasn't been available for a lot of games. I think there was another sentence after that I never wrote down, but I think that's natural. I think, you know, she's got the attributes.
Yeah, that was really positive, though, I think.
Yeah,
it was.
I agree with that. I agree. I think I don't think there's going to be too many strikers out there that's going to be available that we can get in that has got the talent that Senior has got. So providing that she can actually do it in the WSL, because the jury's still out on that. You know, she hasn't proved it just yet this season with us, but we know that she has got that talent. Unless if you
I got the second part of that quote, John. If that's,
go on, mate. Yeah.
So she was saying, obviously we're having conversations, and they will continue to go on. Senior hasn't been available for a lot of games. She's definitely someone who will be in contention for someone we think about recruiting this summer.
It's good news. Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely good news. Definitely positive that at least they're having conversations about it, which is obviously a good thing. Another thing that Emma Sanders tweeted out today, there's about 3 paragraphs about long-term planning. So first of all, obviously, I know that, you know, I'm sure Mark's job isn't in jeopardy one bit, but it is great to hear that conversation go out. I'm not even going to attempt to go through all that, because Mark being Mark has got like a whole story behind it. So go on to Emma Sanders' Twitter page if you want to see that. Jamie Spencer obviously asked the question about injuries, and the reply was that they're all available except for Millie and Mannion, so nothing new there, which is a good thing. Emma Sanders again on reported about the facilities, about going into next season. There's going to be 2 new training pitches, which is great, and that the club are invested heavily for a place over the next few years, and also talking about an increase in player budget. So that is something probably for another show, but we can get into that shortly as well. And lastly, if we fail to get Champions League, will it affect the type of signings that we could get? And Mark Skinner said it will affect, obviously, only 2% of the players out there. So obviously there's a lot of players out there. There's only going to be a few that won't come to Man United because not getting Champions League. So there's a lot to get into there. Obviously, I don't spend the whole show on it because we've got other things we want to talk about. But if I just go around the room and if anyone just wants to kind of highlight one of those quotes and talks about that, feel free. So, John, just start off with yourself there. Does anything kind of stick out to you from those quotes?
Well, obviously the quotes about Bruno are obviously very positive ones. It looks like they are trying to get that deal over the line, judging by his comments. Like he said, she has had the misfortune of being injured regularly in a spell and that kind of thing. So unfortunately, she hasn't been available for the selection. But hopefully those injuries are merely a coincidence rather than a problem that she's had and will continue to have and that kind of thing. But if she is going to be fit, then I think while she hasn't scored it, you've seen enough, I think, to suggest that she can get involved in our play and that kind of thing. And one of the big problems we've had is obviously scoring goals. That's one of the reasons why we're in our positions. And I think if she does stay fit, I think there's enough to suggest that maybe next season, we obviously got the players as Marty suggested, but you need a bit of extra cover. So, like if Ruzo's not having the best game up front, you can bring someone with quality on to replace that kind of thing. So, I think that's a positive step, and we'll just have to see what happens then.
Yeah. I agree completely on that one. Ellie, anything to you there?
About the facilities, I think they've done good listening to us fans. I really do, because what all of us have been saying, we want like the Academy Stadium, we want something near to Old Trafford, so more people can get to it easier. Mm-hmm. So I'm so glad they've listened to us fans on that, and they're obviously pushing for that in the next few years because. Honestly, sometimes transport is a nightmare to get to there, I must admit. So
yeah,
I'm glad they've listened to us in that way. Like
yeah,
they've listened to what the fans want, and that's what we want. And then another one is Bruno. I'm glad she's back, and hopefully she'll stay now for another season. I hope. It looked really positive that, and then. I want to do another one about the injuries for the weekend because when we've been playing bigger sides, I've noticed we do get that 1 or 2 injuries. So you know what? I'm so glad we've not got any of this going into Chelsea because it would be a disaster if we did. It really would. Yeah. I'm so glad we've got everyone back. But then again, Skinner has to think of who to play. You know, he has that decision. He has to leave some players out. So, yeah.
I agree with you. There's people in the comments saying that Brun will come good. She's a winner. We need to sign Brun. Yeah, I would just like to see more of her just so we could make a proper assessment on how good she's going to be at Man United. So, yeah, I would like to see her stay for that extra season and then we'll go from there. Barry, anything jump out to you on today's quotes?
I suppose I've written down 5 things from those quotes. Obviously, it's nice that Manuel and Turner are about. The only 2 that are out. We're going to miss them. It's been a shame that we haven't seen them. I would have loved to have seen that partnership a bit more through the year, but I look forward to seeing it next year. And it's been great to see Manuel walking about as well as last week at LSV. So there was that. I'd like to have a meeting with Mark Skinner to work out how he's worked out. It's only going to affect 2% of the people. I'd love to see the numbers there as a bit of a statistic off him. I'd like to know how he's worked that one out. But in a serious note, the fact that he's got, we're only going to pick the right players, to me, this just says everything about the club at the moment. Because, this is kind of what Ollie was trying to do, I think, last year. It's finding the people that are going to fit the system you want to play, rather than it just being, oh, look, there's a player we could go and get. Let's go and get them. And then they don't fit the system and it doesn't work. Yeah. So I think it's important. And again, as I've said before on this channel, he'll live and die by those decisions. So if he then goes and gets people that fit his system and his system doesn't work, well, then unfortunately, that's what you put yourself into. That's the nature of the beast. And he knows that just as anybody else does. So I think for me that's a big one. Right players. It's nice to see that they're not in a rush for that, and why should they be? You know, we've got the foundation to build on. It's now about building and putting the right things in. You wouldn't go and stick, you know, the downstairs toilet upstairs, would you? So you've got to make sure you put things in the right place. Again, agree with everything that's been said about Bruni. Can't wait to see more of her, and I really hope to see her again next season. Because we're talking about missed opportunities. To me, that's the big one. I really want to see that and see if she can do it here. And like Eddie says, really pleased about the facilities. You know, this is exactly what we want to see, that investment in this club, because it's a brilliant club and it absolutely deserves girls deserve to be given that platform and that same level of investment because of the effort they put in.
Yeah. I agree. I just want to bounce a question back to you, Barry, on this. If there's a player available, centre midfielder, and we keep Jackie, and we don't necessarily need a centre midfielder, for example, if that player ends up going to Man City and we lose out on her because we buy a player, maybe a winger, who isn't as well known, but it's a player that we need, are you worried that the fans are going to jump straight on the manager because they won't kind of understand that or they won't accept that? Because that's what we do. Isn't it?
I'm forever worried that the fans are going to start jumping on things because this is what fans do. And what we have to remember is that fans will judge based on what they think they see. You know, we don't see what goes on training pitches. We don't see all of the things that go on behind the scenes. We don't see that. We just go by, hang on a minute, I would have picked them, so why are you not picking them? And what we forget is these people have actually trained and worked for it and got badges, and there's a reason why they were hired by Manchester United Football. And there's a reason why we just turn up with season tickets and shout from the side. And if you think you can do better, then go and get your game on. You know, go and be that person. You can be the next one. Having said that, though, that doesn't mean that we don't have a right to an opinion, and everybody's got that right to it. Can have that opinion, and so yes, 100%. People could turn on them. People will get upset. We've seen that already. People are angry after Villa. People are angry when we didn't score a goal. You're going to get that. Fans are going to react, and they're going to react emotionally more often than not because that's what we're in. We're invested in. So yeah, am I worried that they might? Absolutely. But as long as you can see the process properly, and I don't want to trust the process and all that, but as long as you can see that what he's trying to do is underpinned by the choices that he's making, then fair enough. Like, you know, again, putting it back to the men's team, why we didn't get a central. You know, that was the one thing we actually really did. Instead, we go off and buy, you know, a winger over there and a striker over there. It's where you need to worry about the places, and that's what you need to make sure you put the people in the right places. And ultimately, yeah, it'd be lovely to go into it. But if we didn't need it, if Russo was banging in 25 goals a season, would we be sitting there going, let's get Miedemar? No, he wouldn't, because we've already got someone who can do that. So if you're going to go to the next level, those are the things you need. So, you know, he won't get any stick from me about that. Not at all.
Didn't think he would, Barry. Didn't think he would. Martin, we'll finish the subject with yourself and then we'll bring in your topic right after. So some of the quotes that I just mentioned there, does anything stick out to you?
Yeah. Okay, a couple of things. I agree with Barry in that Mark should really be bringing in the players that fit his system. Okay. Because it's not going to do anybody any good if he gets great players and he won't play them because in his mind they don't fit his system. Okay, everybody's just going to be frustrated as hell about it. Now, whether or not we find out that Mark's system works, okay, when we truly see it, that's a completely different subject. Okay, because we know that he is maintaining things, 4 and lower. Okay, for the most part, and it's the top 3 that he just doesn't seem to manage. West Ham, is a little bit of a aberration, and Spurs, is in there. Okay, so maybe the 6th and down. Okay, let's go that way. That he can, handle fairly well. Okay, I am a little curious about his 2% statement. That what he says is, well, it only affects probably the very best players in the world. And so the question that immediately comes to mind is, does that mean he doesn't really care about getting the very best players in the world?
It
for
crossed my
Man
mind as
United.
well. I did
Okay,
think that.
at least now. Granted, he may have just said it, said it wrong. Okay, so it could be misinterpreted. All right, but my question is if there are a phenomenal number of players out there, and they're very, very top players, and some top players you can play them any way you want, and they will still be the top player. Then there are other top players that if you don't play them where they rise to the top, like cream rises to the top, they just they're still very, very good, but they don't look like that special player. And there's one example that I know of is Rose Lavelle. Rose Lavelle is a phenomenal number 10 for the U.S., and that's the U.S. national team, and that's how she plays for LL Reign. But when she was at City, Gareth Taylor did not play her that way, and every time he played her, she just looked like she was a dull car, the dull finish on a car as opposed to a shiny red convertible. I mean, it was like night and day watching her. So that's the point is I think next season we're going to see really the true value of Mark's assessment of the players and the players' skills and how they fit into a system and what his system truly looks like. Yep, that's it for me.
That's great. Yeah. Let's start off on your topic, stroke game. Then. So.
Sorry, John.
Yeah, go on, baby, mate.
Sorry, just wanted to throw on from that. We had I've just pulled up the article that Jamie wrote about that. So hopefully it will help. He spoke about the 2% of players, but then he also said Manchester United is an attractive club. So I don't know necessarily that he's saying he's not interested in the best. I think what he's saying is what we were saying about Honor for the last, how long have we been talking about that? If she leaves us, it's not going to be because she doesn't want to be at Manchester United. It's going to be because the Champions League is important to her. If you're one of those players who is motivated by playing in the Champions League, then you're going to go and pick a club that's in the Champions League. That's how it works. If I want a burger, I don't go to KFC. So ultimately, it does come down to the players' motivations. Ultimately, though, what I do is if I'm attracted to a particular fast food restaurant, Nando's, then that's where you might go. So I think what he's saying is we're still attractive, but obviously just, if we don't have Champions League, some people will be purely motivated.
Okay, my rebuttal to that would be it doesn't matter how attractive Nando's is, okay? They can always go to Nando's later, okay? They have a short time of their career of when they are on top of the mountain, and at that time, they are going to grab as much hardware and as many awards and recognitions that they really truly deserve as they possibly can. When you're on the backside of the mountain, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, I'm just saying age is going to come into a factor. You have X number of really, really, outstanding years in you. Okay. Then you could go to Nando's.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I do. I think we're an attractive club anyway. Jackie, all the players that we've signed, and we're not been in Champions League. So I do think we're an attractive club. However, there will be a limit. There will be some players who will turn around and say, "Sorry, I want to play in Champions League." But so be it. There's plenty of other players out there that we can bring in. So I don't think it's going to affect too much. I'd like to think anyway. Marty, your topic. You start us off, mate.
Okay, my topic for Grab Bag on this Friday is name 3 players from any WSL team this season that you would have liked to have seen more of, okay, in that they weren't injured, they weren't questionable, they weren't unavailable, okay, they were perfectly available, listed, okay, on the sheet, but just, you sort of go, what happened? And to start off, my 3 players are Ruby Mace from City, okay, Mana Iwabuchi from Arsenal, and Carrie Jones from Manchester United.
Okay. With it being a United channel, then just let me just ask you that question. Then, what is it about Carrie Jones that that's obviously impressed you? Obviously, we all know what she's done, but let's just open that conversation up. Do you think that we should have played her instead of anybody, or how would you have done things differently?
I wouldn't have subbed her from a starting lineup into a starting lineup unless somebody was hurt or somebody was having a bit of a period of listlessness. Like early on matches ago, Leah Golton just seemed to have lost the step. And maybe she was tired. Maybe she had a little bit of the just wearing down bit, sort of like the dead arm in pitchers in baseball. They, as you go through the season, all of a sudden you get a dead arm. It's like there's nothing wrong with you. You just don't have the same zip on the ball as you used to. And I'm probably sure that goes with many, many athletes. So I would have liked to have seen her. I look forward to watching the Wales national team. She has speed, she has agility, she has awareness that is for a young player. She has the awareness. She knows where she is on the pitch with the ball at her feet. And I look forward to her playing, so that's why.
Yeah, I agree with one of yours and one of the ones in the comments. So I hope I don't take Barry's, but I probably will. I agree with Iwabuchi. I thought when she left Villa, I thought she was going to kick on. I understand Arsenal, massive squad, lots of forwards to choose from. I do get it, but Iwabuchi is someone that I would have liked to have seen at Man United last summer. I said that at the time. I would have liked to have seen that. So I've heard not to play that much this season. It's been a bit disappointing. The one in the comments that I agree with is Hansen. You could have said any of those three: Stewart, Hansen, Fuso, Jones, but more Hansen, because I genuinely hashtag Hansen in. Barry's gone for it already. Just because I just think that every season starts off the season really well, then all of a sudden something happens and she just doesn't get as much game time. Again, that's the whole topic for another show, why Hansen's maybe not played as much as she could have done. But answering the question, I would like to have seen more of Hansen. And the other one I'm just going to throw out there is Lauren James. I kind of knew that she wouldn't get any game time. We all knew she wouldn't get any game time, but I'd like to have seen it. I'd like to have seen how she would have reacted under pressure. I'd like to have seen how good she actually is. It's a big club with better players around her. But again, I do understand that she's third or fourth choice in line there, and unless if Chelsea get a load of injuries up front, then her time will probably come in the future. But those are my three. John, do you want to kind of shout out any names?
Yeah, I agree with you on Lauren James. I think, it shows Chelsea squad depth, doesn't it? Because she was obviously a very good player for us. So I think she's definitely one I would put in there. For United, I'd probably say Boa Risa, actually. Because I think she didn't play much from the start, and then obviously she started playing a few games around December, January, didn't she? And I thought she did well, but then the last few months she hasn't really played that much. She's only been come off the bench, so I'm not sure what's gone on there. So I will save her, and I'll go with second United player. Barry's favourite, Hansen. She's another one I would have liked to have seen more as well. So, and again, I think certain games like the Villa game, I thought she should have come on sooner to offer something different. So, those would be my three.
Yeah. Ellie, any different ones to add, or pretty much the same?
Pretty much the same, but I would have liked to see Jane Moore.
Yeah.
See, now Ellie's thinking about KFC as well. It's all like, can't speak food.
I'd like to see James.
There's the bucket box.
Ellie's gone. We'll come back to Ellie afterwards. Barry, have you got any players that you want to shout out there?
Well, I mean, you've all just gone all over me there, so you pretty much nicked all three of mine. The first name I wrote down was Lauren James, and I say that because I don't think even when she was at United, we really saw too much of her in the WSL, and she's been very highly rated. So I kept on hearing next best thing, next biggest player there's going to be. So I'd like to see, if she is capable of doing those things. So yeah, Lauren James was one. The second name I wrote down was Vilda Risa John. So thanks for that. I think mainly because when we do see her, it's usually the last few minutes of the match. So I'd like to see more time given to her. And, when she has played, she's been brilliant. So I would like to see more of her. And the other name I put down was, of course, Kirsty Hansen. It all started with the Tanu on my very first appearance. And I've sort of picked up the mantle, really. But, to be brutally honest, every time she's come on, she's done well. I do just wonder how if we'd have had an out-and-out winger, someone who's more comfortable on that side, if there'd have been any difference in, quality into the box and that sort of thing. So, yeah, those would be my three. I know they're all United. I don't really know enough about these other clubs. I'm not like, some of these people that pop onto other clubs' accounts and have a little look and see what's going on. I can't. I'm having hard enough time trying to work out if I understand what's going on with the players that we've got. But the one name that hasn't been said yet, just for purely emotional reasons, I would have loved to have seen a bit more of Solskjaer in that Bridgewater game rather than just the last few minutes. It would have been really nice to have seen, the youngsters coming on for a bit longer as well and give them a chance in those sort of matches. So it would have been nice to have seen a few debs as well.
The moment that we scored that second goal, Solskjaer came on. I think it was always a matter of time. I just think as soon as that second goal went in, that was it. It was Solskjaer's moment, wasn't it? And I think that was it. I think, we should have been 2-0 up, 3-0 up at half time against a team of that level. And if we were, then, you might have seen it a bit sooner. Ellie, finish your segment with yourself. So you said Jade.
Right, so Jade Moore.
Yeah.
Because she came in trying to help us, didn't she, or something? We've not even seen her. We've really not even seen her.
Yeah, but she's been injured.
Yeah.
She came in injured. I mean, she's been having this nagging injury that he hasn't been able to put her in. At least that's my understanding. I might have it wrong.
Maybe she should have got more minutes, so I think now. Because, look, we're coming to the final game. I don't see her in next season, really, because we've not seen enough of her. I know she's got an injury, but we've not. Why did we bring her in the first place? I like the girl, I really do. But why did we bring her in the first place then if she's not going to get any minutes? That's what I'm saying. And then another one is Carrie Jones. Because honestly, I went to them 2 Devs games and she played outstanding for them. So I would have loved to see her get more minutes on the pitch for us. But I've said to Nat before, like, it's always the competition, I think, with who to bring off and who to put in. So I wish to see more of Carrie Jones and then obviously Kirsty Hansen as well. Because she's not really played that much. And she was brilliant. She was actually brilliant on Sunday when she came on. I think she didn't really score, but she actually had a few shots as well.
Mm-hmm.
And another one, so I'm got loads here, but another one is Ivana. Because she just never comes on. I wish she does. It's like the last 10 minutes of the game. I'd love to see her. And then Martha Harris, I think. Martha Harris is the number one. We don't see her either.
I feel sorry for Martha Harris.
We don't see her at all.
I think it's one of those issues where you play them in the Conti Cup games, but we have like a strong Conti Cup group that the fans would have really jumped on if we don't do well. We have 1 or 2 easy FA Cup games, and then we have a difficult game. I think there's such a big jump from the likes of Martha Harris to an honour. So it's very hard to get some players in unless it's in a cup game. I thoroughly agree. I think at one point I wanted Fuzal to actually start playing games. I think that was at a time where maybe Leah wasn't at her best, and I wanted to see Fuzal start. Carrie Jones started the season really well, but again, are you going to play Carrie ahead of some of the more experienced players?
That's what I mean. You can't take them off of Tooney or Zelim or Russo, really. So
yeah.
Well, you can't start him ahead, but I think you could bring him on for fresh legs for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I see no reason why you couldn't do that. And there are times where Leah is, she's worn down. I mean, a lot of them have. A lot of them through the
ignore the fact that you have 5 subs as well.
Very true.
Well, I seen a comment in here where it says, I think they all need to move on. I think that's what Martha Harris will do, I think. In the summer, maybe.
I think if she's happy to sit on the bench and just be a part of United, she could potentially stay. But I think if she wants game time, unfortunately, I think, she does move.
I mean, I did tell you this, but I did ask her, and she said she don't know yet, so.
Yeah, I remember you putting on Twitter.
I think Martha should move on. I'd rather see someone else on the bench who would be playing, who could be part in. I see her as a great County Cup person, but not as a great WSL. I mean, would you ever play Martha Harris versus a Chelsea or Arsenal or even Tottenham for that?
That's quote of the day, that, surely. I'd rather see someone else on the bench.
Yeah.
It's not even on the pitch, it's just there on the bench.
Hey,
Somebody different.
It's a blue sky. It's a blue sky. It's.
I'd rather have that friend on the bus than them.
You're not allowed to go on and play. I just want to see a different face there.
So.
It's just occurred to me that this show's going to go on for ages, isn't it? So we've still got John's topic, so we'll go to John next then. Yeah, we'll finish the show with.
Well, it's
go on, John.
It's not specific. It kind of might relate to what we just speak about. Obviously, we got the Euros coming up, and obviously some of our players will be involved in it. Obviously, Bruin will be playing for Denmark. England, as we know, we got Herb, Sellen, Toon, and Russo. Think obviously Jackie for Netherlands. Norway, you got Ave Maria and Dilda, and Olga for Spain, and I think that's it. So my question to everyone was, who are you most looking forward to seeing in the Euros out of our team, and who do you think might potentially have a big Euros and possibly take it into the team for next season?
I think an interesting one for myself is Honor, because I think that she stands a chance of winning. I think what Spain have done over the last couple of years is just continuously progress, and it may be one tournament too soon, maybe. But I just think I look at that Spanish squad and that team, and I think of some players who I'd like to potentially see at Man United next year as well. I think that squad excites me, so I'm looking forward to seeing Spain and Honor. Obviously with Norway, you're getting your value for money there because you've got two players, haven't you? So that one kind of stands out for me. But I think if I could just name one, I'd probably say Honor. But let's move around. Marty, who would you
Netherlands, Jackie. I want to see Jackie. I think they have the opportunity to play at Old Trafford, right? Netherlands do. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I want to see her play at Old Trafford, representing Netherlands. And do I think the Netherlands will win? No, I think Spain will take it. But I do think Netherlands will be in the final, unless Mark Parsons screws it up again,
Bobby, who are you looking forward to seeing, mate?
So I suppose I should probably address this elephant in the room that's just been going on. I haven't responded to it. But this gentleman duel that Sang is talking about, it was actually a compliment. I don't think that came across that way. What I was trying to say was I'm quite good at working out what's going on with the United women because I'm paying attention to that and I'm getting used to it and I'm watching the games and I'm getting more used to who plays where and the formations and all of that sort of stuff. I'm a bit more au fait with it. What I'm trying to say is I don't really have a clue. When people start talking to me about Man City, Arsenal, Aston Villa, like, yes, they play, they do football, good. That's what I'm trying to say. So when you start asking me questions like this, when's international players you're looking forward to seeing, I just go back to thinking about KFC again because I don't know. I can't name you these people. I can talk to you about Man United, that's about it. So the answer to your question is every single match, because this is going to be an opportunity where instead of all the international matches being at the same sort of time and it's difficult for you to watch, it's one of those things that we love to do, the ability to watch all of these teams play and to see some of these players that are outside of the WSL and outside of our scope and outside of our little bubble of the LSV. With the opportunity to see more of that. The highlight shows that we get for the WSL are good. You don't get a huge amount you can take from that because it's very curtailed. So, in all seriousness, the answer to that question is I'm looking forward to just getting as much football into my system as I possibly can, so that next season when I come on here, I can be a little bit more knowledgeable, really.
I think a lot of Man United fans are similar when it comes to internationals, men's and women's team. I think it's just something that I grew up with as well. I'm not a huge fan of international, but when it comes to tournament football, when it comes to the Euros and the World Cup, I will be watching, I will be looking, I will be getting excited. Will I buy an England shirt? I haven't bought one of them for a while, but you never know. You know, no, Martin, I wouldn't expect you to buy an England shirt. But, you know,
final point, Sam. Unless you're 16 stone like me, you don't want to go for a Nando's duel with me, mate. You're not going to win that. Pick something else, like a 100-yard dash or something. Don't embarrass yourself.
Ellie, I'm sure you're looking forward to the Euros. What players from Man United are you looking forward to watching the most?
Maybe it's because it's been questionable that she could be the England's number one. And I hope she is, because she's been incredible for us. So there was a question about Mary Yates, because I think she's gone over Ellie Roebuck now. So I hope to see her starting in that, because there's 3 goalkeepers for the women, and then there's Tuna, which I know she'll do absolutely amazing for INSs. But then Leslie and Zellum as well. I'd love to see them start, because I know that it's been said over and over again on shows. But what I'm saying is, like, the old players always seem to start, and then to get left on the bench. And it's annoying for a United fan point of view, because we want to see them shine in the international breaks. But it's always like Ellen White coming on, or Jill Scott.
Would you like to see this tournament, Ellie, as like kind of like a transition as well? So, like, one obviously that we'd like to go and win, of course, is on our home turf.
Yeah.
But would you like to see like the youngsters come through now that maybe just need that bit of tournament experience? Is that kind of what you're saying, more than just relying on some of the older players?
Yeah, we're doing, because obviously one day it'll be all the youngsters in the Lionesses. Now there's older generations like Jill Scott and Ellen White. All the young ones will end up made their way up to the actual senior team. So I want to see more of our young ones there.
Yeah.
Because it's not just all the older generations. I'm not saying they're not good; they are good, but I'd like to see more of the younger ones playing.
John, I'll throw the question back at you then.
Yeah, I think Ellie's name all of mine. So no, I'm looking forward to see how soon he does. I really do. I think she's possibly our best star. So I'll be interested to know. She's obviously English, so I'll be looking forward to seeing how she does in the tournament. As a bit of an outside one, I'd be interested to see how Vilda does with Norway as well. I'd like to
Don't
see
forget Maria.
Yeah, Maria too. Yeah, I'm gonna look at seeing how they do, and because like I said before, Vilda's not really been used. I'd like to see how she does in the Norway shirt. So yeah, I'd say those.
I will ask you this, John, because I never really hear you talk about it. And, you know, we've got Benny on the channel, who's not really a big fan of internationals. Connor, the same. Me, I'm probably more 30% not in favour of it, if you know what I mean. I'm not really that bothered. You know, I can take it or leave it, but I probably lean towards, you know, I find them quite boring at times.
No, you know what it is, though? It's these international breaks in between the the matches, like we had 3 big games left. They ended up putting an international break on. Imagine if all players got injured.
I know, that's why I find them boring. Because usually when England's playing,
I think rather like the men's game, particularly earlier on in the season, there's just too many international breaks. I think it's like you play 3 games and it's international break, then another 3 games, another one. You know, I do think there's too many.
They're pointless. They're pointless, especially when you know you're going to win them.
Yeah.
Well, the way that the World Cup qualifiers are set up in Europe, is they say they're going to revamp it
Mm.
because you should have a slaughter rule, okay, for some of those, okay, and they are going to revamp it, but you do have to include the countries, and you're not going to want to have who is it, Mendoza? Sorry, my cat decided to visit. The one where they lost 14 or something, okay, and had to wear the guys' outfits, the guys' kits. Mendoza. I don't know. Either way, you know what I'm talking about. So you can't have them actually win, their setup and then end up facing, Sweden in the first group. I mean, it'll just be slaughter, So yeah, but they are going to revamp it because it is a bit it's laborious. It takes up way too much time. And it really does affect the flow of the season. But you have an international break once a month for, if nothing else, that the team, the national teams can get together. They started doing that because there was such a unevenness between some countries who practice more than other countries, and so they were forcing the other countries to actually practice, so that way it would be a bit fair. So, I mean, you always have the big guns, you have the Norway and the Germany, and you have Sweden. And yes, when you're in the United States and you can't actually go to matches in Europe and you can't flit, and even within the United States, you're pretty much stuck to whoever your current team is, because anywhere you go as an away team, you'd have to fly there. You'd have to take an airplane ride to get there because they're spread all over the country. Except for if I went up to Gotham. Gotham's in driving distance, or I went down to North Carolina, but even with traffic, I can't do it. So either way, you get to watch a lot of matches. So,
yeah.
We'll move it on. Got 2 topics left. Barry, shall we start off with yours, mate?
Yeah, no worries. I was just going to say we played 11 internationals this window since the start of the season. That's half as many games as we played in the WSL. I fully agree with what Sang said. We've got to expand the league. I think the internationals will be less of a problem for us. You consider how many games we played for that, more domestic matches. That's what we want to see. And then we'll be less bothered about international breaks and such because you won't feel like you're missing out. Mine was really simple. I don't think it's going to take hours to discuss. But obviously there's been a lot of talking about people visiting matches and such like. And I've sort of been thinking about this a bit, and about away ends and how important I think they're going to be over the next few years. And now that the bigger teams are starting to notice that and put them in place, I am holding in my hands just here the Gold Dust, the ticket that will allow me entry into Chelsea. Yeah.
Is that actually a proper ticket?
Yes, mate.
You actually have a ticket. We don't have tickets.
I know. I'm so usually it's my phone, but that would allow me access into here. Look at this; it's unreal. And I was scared because after about a week and a half of ordering it, I'm like, "Where's the ticket? What's going on?" You panic a lot more.
I got it straight away when it went out, and then we had an away end, so I literally had to quickly ask for a refund and then do all that.
Well, yes, you did jump the gun a little bit there, didn't you? It's like, get a ticket. But, listen, we're all excited about it. But that's my point, is that these away ends, they're not just about atmosphere and having that ability for everyone to congregate in one area. It's safer, it's better, you can segregate the two sides. It does feel a bit weird that, like, you look at the game against Reading that we had where, you're having trouble because people can't be bothered to move and, people are so determined to sit where they want to sit and they don't think about the aesthetic. Like, that's where I'm going to sit. Like, you could move 3 down. No, I want to sit there because that's where I always sit. You need to have this ability, but a bit more flexibility. The game is growing. It's happening. You can see it with the amount of games that are selling out, all of these sorts of things. We simply have to be in a position now where the away end becomes we need to have a section that is completely and utterly sold by, whether it be sold by Manchester United, whether you can only apply for tickets in that area, They need something like that. It's mad. When you try going on to like booking the West Ham tickets and indeed the tickets for Aston Villa, I think it was. You need to work for MI5 sometimes. You need to be able to get into some of these things. Then they ask you to start. You sign up, you give them all your details. Now, at this moment in time, I'm an Aston Villa fan, I'm a West Ham fan, I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm in all manner of different places. I'm embarrassed to open my email. You know, nobody cares whether or not you've got anything else on there. So, no, Arsenal. No, we don't want that on there. Sorry. And it's not right. You just want to be able to support your team and get there. So, I suppose, really, the question that I asked John when I mentioned it was, away ends the future. Is it? Do we think now that fan power is going to make a bit more of an impact, and actually they are going to introduce these? They're going to have to spend that a little bit more. Does that then cause a problem if you're going to have some of the smaller clubs? One of those quotes that I saw Skinner talking about today was that he needs to be sustainable. He wants a sustainable model so that we make our own money and that we're self-funded. What we don't want to do is end up going down the Coventry United road where too much money's been spent for all of these sorts of things. So exactly what Sam's just saying there, you know, is it one of those, you've got to be careful. And that's why I say, even if like you look at LSV, even if we only had the one side, it wouldn't be the hardest thing in the world to just sell one section and stick those silly black curtains down to separate if you really wanted to. Or to just say, this is your section. You're only going to be allowed in that particular block. Everybody else goes in the others. You know, it's not like we're all of a sudden going to start rushing each other just because we have those segregations. It's just about putting people all in one place. It's a nightmare. I'm texting all manner of people. Where are we sitting for this match? I never know. So just tell me that's the away end, and then I've got to start bothering people. So what do we think? Will fan power take over? Is it too much? I don't know, but I'm going to shut up.
No, it's not, I don't think, because, for example, me the other night when we went to the Academy Stadium, I was in the middle of all City fans, and sometimes that can make everyone feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You get all them cheering and everything. Then when you want to cheer, you're on your own. I think there was a couple of Birmingham fans there, but I didn't know where they was.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we need away ends, I think.
I agree.
And the Reading game,
I agree,
spoke for itself. That was a joke, that game, because we all got split up at the end of it.
Mm. Yeah, Benny's in the comments. He obviously agrees as well. Benny, we were speaking about you earlier. Just explain how much that you love the England internationals. No, I definitely think it's the way forward, and it's something that's never really got spoken about. No one spoke about it. Man United fans spoke about it a lot. I don't know if other clubs are getting on board now. I haven't really spoken to many about it, and our journalists are getting on board with it because, you know, we do make a lot of noise, you know, just by doing this podcast right now. You know, if we clip this and tag a few journalists in it, you know, they would respond as well. So I do think it's something that can happen. Is it going to be too soon? Potentially, but I don't think it'll be that long before it starts to happen regularly. I think as soon as one club does it once, it shows that it can be done. I do, and
it'll help your atmosphere. You go to the away ones. I mean, I've never had the privilege of going to a United away match. I would love the ability to do that one because you just know you're all together. You haven't got, like, you know, we've got, I won't name her on here, but we've got the young girl who sits down the other end of LSV singing virtually by herself, and she, you know, it's great for atmosphere. You want people to be actually getting involved in the singing, and they're much more likely to do it if you're all together in one area than if you're sat over there trying to do a solo. You know, you're going to be a lot less likely to sing. Even when I was sat over there, I was singing the songs under my breath just in case Andrew and John started getting a little bit upset with me. You know, I didn't have the guts that she's got to be shouting out loud, although I did shout for Kirsty. You know.
Barry, you did go to an away game. You did go to an away game. That's where I first met you, aren't you, Paul?
Sorry, no, I meant for the men.
Oh, for the men game, sorry.
Yeah, I've been to a home one and the atmosphere's all right there. No, for the men, I'd love to do that because I can just imagine what it's like. It's already great with the women. I've got no problems doing the singing with those guys. We're awesome. But no, I meant for, like, you know, one of those, like a big away game there. Sorry.
John, your thoughts on away ends? I'm sure coming from the men's game, you probably.
Yeah, I do think that for United in particular, it's something that we need to look at. I mean, before we came along, rival bands might as well sat together singing "Come Together" by the Beatles, might they? So, there was all the atmosphere, church choir come by, but no, seriously though, I do think away ends. You need to have your own distinct identities, and obviously, I think that's something United have pushed for there, because obviously we're certainly the noisiest bunch when they go to games. It's good that we've had our own away end, particularly big games this season, and I think it's something for the future, isn't it? So I think as soon as and I think eventually we will get our designated away end for virtually every game, I feel, and we can give rival fans an end at LSB, that kind of thing, and I think it's be a positive move, and we'll probably increase the support of the women's game as well in this country. So bring it on.
I'm interested to hear what Marta thinks. Obviously, what do they do in America? How does it work over there?
Take your chances. I've been at baseball games where I've been wearing my the like dreaded opponent's hat and have gotten into yelling matches with people. Okay, it's we don't have away ends. You just take your chances. That's why you don't go by yourself. So I think any section that's designated, so that way you can pick up a ticket and go to a game and know that you're going into a safe zone. Is perfectly good, especially because I don't get I don't experience the the Twitter arguments. I don't know what. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know, but in my opinion, I'm doing something right. Is I stay the heck out of it, and nobody's really getting on my case about things. I've gotten into Twitter arguments with people, but it hasn't been over Man United. It's been over a something in setup, and pretty much I go to the tickets I buy are for my pleasure. So I don't like being at the end. I like being at what we call a 50-yard line. So you're seeing both ends going, and I have seats there. And then at the end of the match, we'll go over to the supporter section because we actually know people there. But I don't like sitting there because I like sitting. It's like if I'm going to spend all this time to go to a stadium to have to go downtown and all the things, I'm going to do it for my pleasure, okay? Because I've saved up the money to do it. So I looked at tickets, and you guys, your ticket pricing is if it was our ticket, if we had that ticket pricing, I'd go more often. But it's a luxury to go to athletic events here. So it's not a they do have cheap seats, but I don't happen to like them. So I tend to spoil myself. So but I agree, if you have a safe area and it gets that tense, you need to just have a safe space.
Yeah. Did you want to come in there, Barry?
I was just going to say, I went to a baseball game in America, and they were like $10, I think, the seats for that. They were so reasonable. I presume because they play every day pretty much. But
well, you have 162 games. So
exactly.
You can get that, but you probably, if it was $10, you were probably in the outfield.
Yeah, and we arrived late as well. We missed all the. There was no goals, no home runs, nothing. It was the Mets. They're my team now.
Wait, did you go to Citgo?
To the New York Mets stadium.
Yeah, they rebuilt it in the Queens.
Oh, they made it new.
Oh yeah, they rebuilt it. I mean, you went to the nice one. You didn't go to Shea. You went
to they rebuilt the one in Pittsburgh as well now.
Yes.
Yeah,
they did. It's real nice.
You can do it.
With that whole area, the Three Rivers, where the
I know that because my wife's from there.
I'll just put that in the comments. John.
My mom was from there. My mom was from outside Pittsburgh. So
let's go Mets.
Where were you from, Marty? Then
I'm a Yankee fan. The Mets suck.
You're a Yankees, but get her off, kick her out. Can't have this.
No. The house that Ruth built, and they built the exact replica across the street from it. So it's very cool in the Bronx.
Don't fall over, Barry.
You didn't force me to go upstairs to get my Yankee hat.
Oh, it's all gone mad, John. It's all gone mad. Quick, go to Eddie. Go to Eddie.
Ellie, we'll do some predictions at the end.
No,
But
the
we'll
Yankees
just
do
finish off
not
on your
stop.
topic.
James Flatbush.
I'm gonna keep that comment on screen now.
I should have worn my Steelers shirt.
I'm okay with the Steelers. I'm good for the Steelers because my mom's from there. The funniest thing is the Steelers family is married to the Giants family because Mara married Rooney way back when. So, that's just hysterical. I just find that hysterical that when they've met in the Super Bowl, who the heck do they root for?
Ellie, we'll move on to your topic. Do you want to bring it in and then we can all discuss it?
So my topic is about the atmosphere at LSV, and maybe they could bring in like more when we're playing the games, more interaction with the fans. I love what they do, how they interact with us. I do because they come around signing, having pictures. But what I'd love to see is like little boys and girls coming out holding the players' hands. Do you know what they used to do? Because I was like, COVID's over for now. But it'd be so nice to see little boys and girls coming out. And then what I'd like to see is I'd love to see Fred the Red there, because just like the Academy Stadium do, they have their two is it Blue Moon or something? They have their two mascots there. So I thought, why shouldn't we should do that? And then what they also do is have free refreshments and free food. That I'd love for us to do that. And then what I also love to do is, like when they put the songs on, maybe put United songs on.
Yeah.
Or when they're coming out on the pitch, put the Glory Glory Man United song on. But I think they have done that once before at LSV, but I'd love to see it more and more. I don't know what you guys think, but I'll let you.
Yeah, it is a secret for you. I actually know who the real Fred the Red is.
Oh.
Give him a call.
Yeah, I might have him on Facebook actually. So.
Get him on the show.
I got a funny story about him actually. We went to it. We were playing at Wembley about a decade ago, and he was going on the buses down to it, and he had his Fred the Red costume, and he nearly forgot his head.
Fred the Red had no head. Oh my God! I bet he was.
Oh, that's
you need to send him a message, John. You need to send him a message and say, there's the YouTube channel that would like to talk to you.
Might have to get to the club, but yeah, I'll work on it.
Ellie raises a few good points. I definitely think music. I think getting the right tunes on there. We saw at Old Trafford, how we can help if they play the right songs, we can sing along as opposed to just any random songs. So I'll definitely agree with that one. John, do you want to mention anything else before I come to Barry on that one?
I agree with a lot of what Ellie said. I'd like to say a few more, United chants and that kind of thing. Obviously, I suppose what I would like, like with this season, because it's like I've been, for those who bought the season tickets at the start of the season, they're usually more towards that end, and people like me who bought it after that's about the other end of the West Stand. I would have been nice if you could have mingled more, made it a bit easier for people to sit together who aren't regulars and that kind of thing. I think that would make it a lot easier rather than having, because you're not got a season ticket and say you have to sit behind the goal or at the other end, that kind of thing. I think to make it a bit easier would be to allow people to sit more together. So, yeah.
I'm sure the supporters club is obviously working on that. It's something that's being mentioned on day one.
I think
You know,
apparently it's because of COVID. Apparently, that's what I've been told.
yeah. I mean, well, those restrictions have kind of gone there, haven't they? So hopefully next season we can see a change. But if I want to grow the fan base and bring someone new, because, you know, this channel, we've brought a hell of a lot of people, brand new people in and across. I can maybe get someone to the stadium, but then at the end I'd have to say, well, you can't sit next to me. You have to go all the way over there. You know,
Yeah.
John's experienced it, Stu's experienced it, Andrew's experienced it. You know, we're grateful that you've gone back. You know, because sitting by yourself obviously isn't as good. Thankfully, you know.
Yeah, I've been quite lucky this season because I've not got a season ticket, but sometimes your stands are available, but then others are not. So then I have to email them to say, oh look, I'm part of the Barmy Army, so kind of change it and top it.
That's what you should have done, Barry, John. You know,
I can't believe it was that easy. What's all this about?
Yeah.
Why are you telling me this now we had the last home game? And I've got, that's outrageous. Now
I'm an
I see
honorary member.
See how I'm bullied?
I did think, things you learn. So,
Well, I was going to say that I agreed with everything Ellie said, but I couldn't disagree more now. No, listen, there's some great stuff there. First of all, the songs. I loved at Old Trafford the way that we had some of the players' songs.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had the Communards, you know, Don't You Want Me Baby, when we were all singing the Mary Earp song. It's such an easy way of getting people to sing the songs. And it just changes it up a bit. So I'd like to see a bit more of that. I think that would be good. I'd be amazed if I could see any free food coming out of LXV. That would surprise me. To be honest, I think the food's all right. It's quite nice. Didn't get a fork though, because I did have to attempt to eat an entire pie like it was a sandwich at the weekend because I couldn't be bothered to go and get the fork, which was not at all embarrassing. So I did quite well with that. Mascots, absolutely. I also think, like the Fred the Red thing, I do find it a bit odd that we don't see it. So yeah, John, you definitely need to get on the phone and see if you can get your mate down, because that does seem a bit odd to me that we don't see that.
I know where it works as well. If I can't get him on the phone, I'll go down and see him. So.
Absolutely. Tell him, you know, it needs to be seen. But things that I would do, first of all, next season, they've got to get rid of those separators now. If COVID's not going to be such a big thing, there's no need to have those separators. That will open up more space that you were just talking about in the North Stand and a bit lower down. So they need to get rid of those. And I think, to me, that's the big thing. To be fair, they've been quite good when it came to me swapping my tickets. They've actually been quite good this year.
Yeah, same.
It was only the last game. As I walked in, it said, you know, no transfers. And I don't know if that was another thing or not. But to be honest with you, I sat there and I thought, you know what, I'm going to sit with Andrew and John. You know, they're sensible geezers. I had the Charles family was sat in front of us as well. So we had a nice chat. We had a lovely time over there. We're very noisy over that side, very noisy. So it's quite nice to have some mature adult conversation for once. No, it's brilliant. So I'm really looking forward to having a season ticket over there. I think the atmosphere is great there.
We're on the show that's past the watershed later on, John. So
we're going to have ready for 10 o'clock. Before we go on this been a cracking show, thank you to everybody in the comments and everybody in the panel. It's really been enjoyable. This is the last show that I'll be on, and I think all of us will be on before the Chelsea game. So let's get some predictions. Marty, can you see United getting anything from the game?
I think we'll draw.
Okay.
I think we need to draw. I think we need attitude. And I think if there's one thing that I think Mark should be successful in this season, is the fact that he can get his players to have faith that they can beat the top three. And by at least getting a draw, if not can't get the win, I think that will be a step in the right direction. So I see us drawing. I have no idea what the score will be, but I see us drawing. I see that as being a major achievement, because Chelsea has been in the position to end up with a draw twice in the last, three weeks, something like that, 3 matches. And then they've pulled out that win in the last whatever second. So I think if we can get a draw, that is a huge win. And if we get a draw, and well, actually, no, I don't think that's going to work. I think we'll lose on goal difference anyhow.
Yeah, we'll lose on goal average. Yeah, unless
Yeah,
it's
sorry
wins.
about that, but yeah,
Not unless-
I would love a
unless
win.
it
I would love
was
a win, but I think a draw.
Yeah. I think I've gone for a draw as well. A show went out at 12 o'clock today. Anthony's been doing a show every week where there's been a match weekend, and we've been giving our predictions for the whole of the WSL. That went out at midday today, and I'm sure I said a 1-1. And it could be a game that goes 2-1 either way. It could be absolutely anything. I think the one thing that's in our favour is that it's the last game of the season. So it's kind of like a cup final, so you might see something slightly different. And obviously we need something different because we are the underdogs for a reason. But I'm going to go for a 1-1, but I just don't think obviously it would be enough. But wouldn't it be great if it's 1-1 in the last 5 minutes we get a goal? You know, that would be absolutely fantastic. Looking on our phone, seeing how City's getting on. But I'm seeing 1-1, and then that means that Arsenal could probably sneak the title. So, you know, that could happen. That's not necessarily the end of the world for me.
It'd be new and different.
Yeah, absolutely. Barry, should I give you a prediction, mate?
So
Come on,
I
Bobby,
think
you're good at this.
I've been rubbish lately. Ellie, I've got to be honest. I haven't nothing. Oh, we're going to beat Villa 5-0. We couldn't even, missed opportunities. Listen, what I think, I've said it all season, that this is our opportunity to really have that moment where we can be proud of the girls for doing something that they haven't done before. I do believe we are going to win. I do. I just do. I've just got that faith, and I don't know if it's blind faith. I don't know if it's just me supporting for the sake of supporting, because I don't want to say we'll lose, but genuinely, I think we're going to win. I do. It's not going to be by a lot. I was gagging about the 10-0 before. It's going to be 1-0 or 2-1. I do believe that. I really do. The problem is, will City get their win? I'm hoping, if Reading, just imagine the atmosphere. If Reading and City are drawing, Marty didn't agree. I told you I was bad at this. But yeah, City, just imagine they're drawing or losing right towards the end, and then we get that goal. That's the moment that Anthony's been waiting for right there, that ability to just let rip and go feral. So, yeah, for me, 100%, we're going to win it. It's either 1-0 or 2-1. Man City are in the driving seat. I saw you put that on your All for United tweet the other day. Man City are in the driving seat. But boys and girls, let's not forget, Skinner's at the wheel.
I love that. Yeah, there we go. The different positions have thrown me out now. So we've done Martin.
Yeah,
we've done
I
Bobby.
pushed the wrong button.
No, it's okay.
I ejected myself. So.
John, what are your thoughts on this one, mate?
Oh, it's more heart over head thing. It really is. It really is. But I'll go with my heart. I'll back us to nick it 2-1. I think Chelsea will score first. I think they'll be looking for a second, and then out nothing will score one in about 70 odd minutes, and then they'll go chasing for the title, and then Leah Goldson in stoppage time.
Love that. Well, Benny's gone for 1-0 with a Russo goal. That could definitely
Yes,
happen.
Benny.
Russo will get the equaliser.
Ooh.
Okay, we'll finish it off with Eddie's prediction then.
Well, mine's so different to all of yours because I was gonna go 3-2 because
Okay.
I thought you were going to say you thought we were going to lose.
no, of course not. I'd never say that about my team. Never. No. 3-2. I think I really want one to get on that score sheet on Sunday. I really do. I think Katie's own corner, definitely, and Russo free kick. Because that free kick, I think, was it against Arsenal that she scored. I think.
Katie's own corner. How you think Millie Bright's going to crouch down?
Well,
you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that Katie Selden can't hit him. Okay, I'm not saying that, but Millie Bright's she's a she has good status there. That's a good word for it. She has status.
The problem is she's going to be knocked out by her attitude, so she'll hit the floor. Come on, United.
We need attitude. We definitely need attitude.
Well, that's what I mean. I think we need to score. We need to score early on. I think.
Yes.
Because if they get their first goal, that's it. They'll be all over us then.
Yeah,
that's what always happens to us. We can't pull City. Whereas Chelsea scored, and then next thing you know, City comes back and just decimates them. We can't do that. But if we score early, and if we get a second goal, like what John's saying, I do think we'll have Chelsea on their heels. But we just have to hang tough, and we can't have tired legs. We need fresh legs out there. Because don't forget, they've got pressure on them as well as us. So, never know.
Yes, I know. They want the league title. I mean, they want.
I think the important thing is for game management, just make sure you're in the game with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't go.
I think I agree with you. I think for me, the biggest thing is whether we win, whether we lose, whether we draw. What I just please God, whatever happens, don't let it be that we're winning like 1-0 and then it's a silly mistake or something at the end, like the story of our season. I want it to be, if we lose and we get beaten, fair play, but let's let it be, go out on a high, because the girls deserve it. They really do. They've been brilliant.
Yeah.
This is another thing. So sorry that it's going over time there, but
don't apologise. They should have had Connor if they wanted the time to be done properly.
He would have cut us off, John. He definitely would have cut us off.
I just don't want
Go on, Ellie.
I just don't want at the end of this game people slagging us United off, even if we lose, because that's not what it's all about. Because
translate that, please.
I've seen some fellow fans. They get really annoyed if we lose that game, and I understand why. But if everyone goes slagging us off out there on Sunday because we've lost against Chelsea, we can say we've done our bit. We've done our bit this season. Yeah. We've tried our best. That's why I don't want all on Twitter at the end of that game.
I agree. But on the other hand, I always thought that they would be. They're considered fair weather fans here. The fans who. I mean, you're allowed to be annoyed. You're allowed to have, criticism, constructive criticism, but you got to keep the asinine stuff to yourself. If whatever you put out there, is, wouldn't be saying to your mother, okay, or you wouldn't be saying to your father, okay. Or you don't want to hear out of your kid's mouth, then it doesn't belong out there, and it doesn't belong coming out of your mouth. Okay, you gotta keep your heads. But I would like to see us on a positive note. That I agree with Barry. I don't want to see us fold. At the end, and it just be that's what we did all season. I would like to see us have a good step forward for next season.
Far too many people agreeing with me today, John.
Yeah, your head won't fit in the screen anymore, Barry.
Just do us one more favour. The panelists can do it as well. If you want to see Jackie Groden score on the last game of the season against the
I'll be running on that pitch.
Yes.
Hit the thumbs up. Please hit the thumbs up. And,
yes.
Let's add that total, because I'm sure we'd all love to see that. Unless if you're a Chelsea fan and a City fan. But it's been a cracking show. I can't believe hour and a half just flies by. Sometimes you think, have we got enough content for 1 hour? We've done an hour and a half, and we've spread it along as well. So thank you very much for joining us, especially the people in the comments. We had about 10 people waiting before we even started, which was fantastic to see. So thank you very much for that. We are going to shoot off. Tune in at 7:30 tomorrow night. Matt and Benny are previewing the game in a bit more detail. And then, of course, stay tuned for the Sunday match day content. We shall see you again very soon. Thank you very much, guys.
Sunday.
Cheers, guys.